Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next session of our tech session. For Q&A, kindly key in your questions at the Q&A chat box. Do visit our virtual exhibition and discover the latest water innovations and technologies. The exhibition will be live for 24 hours during this whole week. Do enjoy the next presentation.
Okay, good morning everyone. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera, and welcome to this morning's tech session number 3 actually now. My name is Engineer Ilyas Saidin. I'm a council member with the Malaysian Water Association. With us this morning, we have a session on the topic, the urgency of circular economy approach to water management from an economic perspective. Okay, this paper will be presented by Puan Maslinawati Ahmad from Bank Pembangunan Malaysia Berhad. She's doing it live presentation. A brief background on what she's submitted on her background, on her experiences or her CV. Maslinawati joined Bank Pembangunan Malaysia Berhad on 2nd January 2020. Wah, baru setahun lebih ya. In her current role, Maslinawati is heading the economics research team at the bank that is tasked to support the management on macroeconomics and sectoral risk analysis, focusing on impact financing as well as SDG-related initiatives as new sources of economic growth. She has over 25 years of experience as an economist, with well-varied experience in senior capacity in various types of organizations, covering multitude subject matters, stakeholders, and deliverables. Puan Maslinawati, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you for the introduction, Ilyas. First of all, I would like to apologize. I wouldn't be able to take a live Q&A later, but I will share my email address at the end of my presentation. I can try to answer any questions. If you have any questions, you can email me because I have to attend to some family matters right after the session. Yeah. Okay, so basically when I present this, even though it's in the tech session, this is basically from economic perspective, obviously because I'm an economist. But the thing is just that to highlight the fact that technology is playing an important role in the economy and what kind of technologies. That's why I think it's still relevant to talk about this subject during this tech session. So if I can share my screen with you. Yeah, okay, right. So basically, key points on my presentation today, I'll just highlight the dynamics and issues. Basically, you will see that it remains status quo, a little improvement. And I have to emphasize in this presentation that water is at the heart of all the SDG initiatives, beginning with the circular economy. We know that urbanization rate was set to accelerate in the coming years. There will be greater pressure for the economy to manage the balance in the water, energy, environment nexus, particularly when demand for water continue to rise or continue to accelerate. So are we serious about it? Serious about managing these balances? Serious about the sustainability in the water sector? There is an urgent need, I think, for us to find ways to close the cycle by transitioning from linear. Linear basically is you take, you make, and you dispose. Okay, to circular approach. Circular approach is making sure that the resources of the economy remains within the economy, in a circular, and it's being used and reused again by other economic players towards water management, and we are running out of time. What about circular economy initiatives in water sector for Malaysia? It seems that the current technology not really a closed loop, so we must ensure the right technology when considering investment into this sector going forward. Investment into water security, because now the main the main debate when it comes to water, especially in the Klang Valley, there has been numerous calls for water security. At the same time, we know that government is embarking on the new Malaysia plan. Yeah, it's a 12 Malaysia plan. It's a 5-year plan. So basically, government will also have to make sure that whatever money is being put into a particular sector or project or initiative, it has to give a big bang for the buck. Basically, tech advances is the only way to raise our potential output. I will share later. And we need to put it in the most needing sectors so that we can have, we can actually continue to ride on the rush towards this technology advancements and sustainability goals, but at the same time, we also can create value to the economy. So going forward, I'm sure there will be more technologies that will be sought after from industry players by the government in the water sector to address all the gaps. I foresee a lot more PPP initiatives to be rolled out. And expectation is high, not just from us among the economists, but also I think throughout the industry, the market players, investors and whatnot, that the orientation for adoption of technology will soon go beyond ensuring dependable water supply. Basically, now you're just focusing on dependable water supply. It's safe and it's clean to drink from, and we have efficient wastewater management. But we now need to focus on the circular objective. Yeah. Okay. So next, okay, just look at this SDGs. What do you call this? Sustainable Development Goals number 6, which focus on water. So. Progress at a glance. Okay, so this is a report by the United Nations, and it was recently released, I think last February, but some of the data was quite backdated, and some, like as back as to 2017, and so basically this is not really up-to-date data, and we all know that compiling data for this particular sector is very, very hard, very, very difficult. Yeah. So if you look at the overall situation now for the global economy, is quite sad to see that many, especially the less developing countries, are still lagging behind. Like the what do you call this? 2.3 billion people still lives in the places where facing water stress. Water typically is something which you are being faced with conditions that will threaten your access to safe and clean water supply. But typically this will not be, what do you call it, shouldn't be a problem if you are not, your what do you call it, your country is not, highly urbanized, or your country is actually facing a lot of natural disasters and things like that. But this simply because there's no access to that, maybe because of the geographical landscape, because of the natural topology and things like that. So where is Malaysia? So if you look at Malaysia, I'm just comparing Malaysia against other countries in the selected Asian countries and also against ASEAN. We can see that Malaysia is making progress in terms of ensuring people's access to clean water and sanitation, in terms of how we use water efficiently, and also the integrated water resource management. So you can see that 93% is actually what do you call this, an improvement. 93% of our population have access to safe drinking water. 89%, so this is still the room for improvement. Access to safely managed sanitation. But there are two things that I need to highlight. What you call this? Domestic wastewater flow that is being treated is just 72%. The proportion of the wastewater flow that is being treated is just 72%. So most of it, we don't know where it's actually going to, or maybe it's going back to the rivers. Okay. And then secondly, in terms of water stress level, it seems low. Obviously, because we've been receiving huge rainfalls, and so far, even though we are facing rising cases of polluted rivers and whatnot, but we're still able to manage water demand. And and in terms of the urbanization compared to Singapore, because it's a small country, access to fresh water, and it's highly densely populated, and high pace of urbanization. So the water stress is actually becoming what do you call this, a constraint to them. So overall, it seems that yes, we are okay. We are not lagging behind, although we are not also advancing, but we are okay. But actually, there's more to it, and just just beyond the what you clean water and sanitation lah. You still have water to use. Water is still plenty, water supply ada, and we are not facing that bad water stress scenario. But look at the issues and challenges for the water sector. And if you are very familiar with this water sector, and if you are an industry player, you know that these issues have been, been highlighted and again and again and again and again for many, many, many years. Okay. We know that we have abundant source of water, and we depend mostly from rivers, okay, except for in Kelantan, where it's actually from the groundwater. So, but then, the number of rivers in Malaysia being polluted is actually on the rise. Okay, so now the water stress tak nampak lagi, but it's on the rise. Okay, rising number of water supply disruptions. We have these cases of burst old pipes lah. I'm living in Selangor, and I have gone, fed up with all the water disruptions. And this is actually on top of the scheduled maintenance. Okay, and basically the water supply disruption. There are two main causes. No other. Most of the time, it's actually burst old pipes and polluted rivers. Okay. And we're also facing this high non-revenue water. Basically, water that we have in the capacity and then water that we use doesn't tally. So we have one of the highest in the world, 2.3 times Southeast Asia average. At the moment, it seems manageable because we still have the abundant source of water. Okay, high water consumption. Okay, we consume 230 liters per capita per day in 2019. It's the highest in Southeast Asia. Okay, and if you compare to the United Nations ideal perimeter, when this ideal perimeter is basically United Nations have in mind the level of water that we should consume within every other factors like ample supply, no stresses. We were able to recycle some of the water. So this is actually the ideal parameter. Yeah, 165 liters per person per day. Okay, so we are so far above that. And most of the infra is aging. Okay, and then also we are suffering from underinvestment. So as at 2020, at the end of the Malaysia Plan, most key projects still below target. And the only highest achievement at 89.5% for water supply projects, and the most lagging at 54.7% for national storage projects, which I will share with you later, which projects are being listed. Okay, so, and to make it worse, the financial sustainability of the Malaysian water industry is worsening, mainly dragged by tariff, REIT, and non-revenue water issues. Okay, and this total deficit for the whole sector, has continued to widen. It has never shown sign of narrowing. No, I think since 2010, maybe it has been growing and growing. So now it stood at is expected to reach 2.4 billion in 2020. So to sum up, we have abundant sources, but poor quality management of water. Secondly, we have high level of consumption. It reflects wastage, made to distorted pricing mechanism. When you have a distorted pricing mechanism, when you want to make decisions on investments and controlling the consumption, it's a bit, requires a lot of political will, especially when your citizens used to consume water, and suddenly you want to introduce how to save water, that kind of thing, and suddenly you want to revise the tariffs higher. So that requires a very strong political, but we end up with distorted pricing mechanism contributing to the worsening financial positions of the Malaysian industry. And obviously, this is being made worse by the enablers, that is supposed to be provided by or initiated by the government. We are actually having underinvested in this sector. So these are the issues, are the same issues again and again. So I as an economist, really hope that for the next, for the new Malaysia Plan, the 12 Malaysia Plan, which kicks off this year, we'll be seeing some improvements or some initiatives to address these issues in earnest. Okay, so are we serious about water security? Because we know we've seen that in terms of the progress track by the United Nations that we actually we're not facing that serious water stress problems. But going ahead, we must know that, this year and the next, and many years to come, the issues at hand will be just about sustainability. It's about ESG, environment, and social and governance. Okay. It's all about SDG. It's all about technology advancement to ensure that sustainability. Okay. And we are running out of time. There are so many targets that we already pledged at the international level that I'm not sure whether actually we have really put through the thinking behind this and how we want to go about it. Okay, so one factor is clear that the world is aging. Okay, so what water stresses, if it doesn't come now, it will eventually comes and affects us. And according to UN, if natural environment continues to degrade and pressure on water sustainability continues to rise, implications will be dire by 2050. People will say, it's still a long way to go. But every single step is, to arrive at to address all these issues in the water sector requires a long haul. So if you know that you want to be there by 2050, so you have to start now, okay? So 45% of GDP will be shaved off, perhaps. 52% of population will be affected. Maybe, more people die of hunger or, lack of access to fresh water. And 40% of global grain production will be at risk. So that was actually would support the facts on the 52% of population that will be affected. Okay. So, and at the same time, urbanization is gaining pace. Don't talk about other parts of the world. We just talk about our country. As at 2019, 76.6% of Malaysian population lives in urban areas. Okay. At the same time, because Malaysia is, the way Malaysian geography is, the way we geographically organized, or how do you say that, the way conurbation or agglomeration is actually, growing in our country or being developed in our country. All those key urban areas will be surrounded by urban fringes or rural areas. Consider Iskandar, Malaysia. Iskandar, Malaysia is bordering a few, I think 2 or 3, Felda settlement. Felda settlement is totally rural, okay? And their sanitary waste management and whatnot, most of it are still not, modernized, okay? So you are surrounded by this continuum. So when you're talking about urbanization, and the Ministry of Housing, local government, they're looking into smart city initiative, because this is the hype. Okay, you have to create smart city because there will be urbanization. So there should be smart initiatives to manage the citizens of these smart cities. But smart cities cannot stand alone. Okay, it will have to depend on the surrounding areas, particularly natural resources. So where would they get the water from? Obviously from the surrounding rural areas. Okay. And many other natural resources, they will have to make use, have to depend on the surrounding rural areas. So how are we going to make sure that, we want to create the ecosystem? It's not just about the smart city. Okay, smart city is not just about technology, like smart parking, like smart buildings. No, it's about sustainable living. Okay, and the continuum. You need to have a proper ecosystem. Okay, so, and what more, Malaysia, 4 Malaysian cities actually have been identified to be the pilot cities of ASEAN Smart City Network. So you'll be quite an embarrassment if we cannot, deliver some significant progress, in terms of maybe we just very laid back approach to all these things, because the fact that, in terms of water supply, water resources, we are still okay in that sense. Okay, so but if you look at this perfect scenario, this is actually being done in study, review of national water resources study, and you can see that even under the perfect scenario, 68% of the what you call this, the water will be, the natural water would be receding. Okay, if I can open the next slide. Okay, so basically, in terms of when you talk about water security, having enough quantity and quality of water, it's not enough, to define, in what you call this, in terms of more meaningful definition of what is water security. How do you define water security? How do we define and set target in terms of supply or demand? Because it's what you call this a dynamics. Okay, when you have water security, you cannot just tackle the supply. You're not doing anything about the demand. So you have to do both. Okay. So even in the perfect scenario I mentioned just now, there is no pollution. Wastewater is treated and all water is available for use and consumption. Water access will still be decreasing. This is a natural process due to the natural laws. Okay. In terms of demand, so how are you going to manage this? Okay, we can, in terms of demand, we can manage by raising water use efficiency. Okay, this is simpler said than done. So while for supply, we can explore alternative water sources, including safe wastewater use and also recycling. But we are still lagging in terms of embracing circular approach, okay, to attain all those things, okay, beyond thinking of it as an approach to deal with toilet waste converted into some other products. So far, when it comes to circular approach in the water sector, okay, the topic of this discussion is on toilet waste. Toilet waste, you recycle and decompose, and then you put into the agriculture sector. But the thing is, and then, there's a little concern over the urgency and importance of it. Okay, even among the industry, this is the, what you call this, survey done by the Malaysian Water Association, and it's published in the Malaysian Water Industry Status and Outlook. Circular economy is not even in the top 5 of their concerns. Obviously, they are already facing challenges in day-to-day, the operational side of the managing the water industries, as well as what you call this, the financial constraints that they are facing. Okay, and I think there's a little awareness among the players and even among us, the people. Okay. But because if you look at the circular economy for the whole country, actually remains concentrated on recycling. When you talk about circular economy, most Malaysians would think it's just about recycling, reuse, reduce, and recycling. Okay, but it's actually mostly on plastics, resin plastic, and even so, and the ratio is very low at only 24%. Okay, so actually is a very important component. It's at the heart of the circular economy that cuts across all industries. Okay, so we need to try to frame our future decision making when it comes to where money to be put into this sector. Okay, we need to consider that to move from this linear or resource intensive economy to a closed loop. So closed loop, the regenerate and this restorative system. Okay, this is part of circular economy that, totally, I think, alien to many of us in the country, even for the industry players. Not maybe a few already involved into these activities or industries, but it's not really a wide, it's not actually being taken into the next level and being prioritized the way it should be. Okay, so consider this. Circular economy is based on 3 principles. Okay, you design out waste. That is obvious. You keep resources in use. Basically, when you want to do something, even when you're recycling something into something else, you have to make sure that when you do it, you are not actually defeat the purpose. Let's say you recycle water into something else, but in producing that something else, you need more clean water. Okay, you're not using recycled water, or you need more clean water, or you take something else from the resources, affecting the forestry, that kind of thing. So that is not circular economy. So you keep resources in use. Okay, so you regenerate natural capital. Natural capital, thank God, water is actually renewable resources. But how we manage this, considering that we are also subjected to the natural loss of the fresh water. Okay. So this approach, this treatment will relieve the pressure on our resources. And our resources is not just water, because it's energy, materials, and food, and some other and many other things. So are the water technologies now green? Yes, most of it are actually green. Okay, is circular economic approach to the toilet waste, the one that we seen earlier, is actually not really, because you're using more resources instead. When you transform that thing into a compost and you make it like a feedstock for the agricultural sector, okay, we need more water to process waste, okay, into and supply to agriculture using that compost. Okay, there's no what do you call this talk about making sure that even with that compost, the water that is going to be used is recycled water, okay, from whatever, there's no what do you call this talk about it when we talk about that circular approach in that waste toilet waste management. Okay, consider this model by Burrow Happold. Okay, this is the closed loop. Okay, so no matter where you can start with regenerate. Okay, regenerate, you restore water to the natural basins and replenish supplies. I think why I think it must start here, because particularly who's in charge of the natural basins and making sure that the supplies will be replenished, it's the government. Whether it's the federal government or the state government or local governments, this is their duty. Okay. Then reduce consumption and address system leakage. Okay, this one, industry players, as well as awareness among the what we call this among people. Okay, and when you be able to reduce, okay, and you at the same time you recycle, okay, that will also contribute to help to restore the natural level of restore the level of the water in the natural basins. Okay. So essentially, optimizing the use of water and closed loop. Okay, so how the red circular economy can help address water scarcity? You use water use, you recycle water, but most importantly, the need to regenerate. The equation regenerate is very important. You cannot just recycle, reduce, and and this regenerate. You are not taking care of your natural basins. Then it's not going to be, it's not giving you the closed loop that we want, that we desire. So that eventually will lead to responsible consumption and production. Okay, and you can see that the what do you call this the role of water in the circular economy, not just the sector circular economy, it's actually cut across sectors. Basically, for now, it's more on reuse and recycle. Because this is examples of CE in practice, and it's just not in Malaysia, it's all over the world. It's basically, there's case studies behind this. So agriculture, we know that agriculture is actually the biggest user of the global water supply, okay, at 70%. Malaysia is also like that, around 71%. Okay. So the examples of the circular economy in practice is you reuse the wastewater to increase productivity. Okay. And most of this actually, the water is being, this agriculture is actually to cater for what do you call this, crops farming, food crops farming. And so this will cater for increasing food demand and ensure food security. Okay. You don't have to worry about enough supply of water or not, or continue to tap into the new sources of water. Okay, and optimizing water use and control pollution. When you can optimize your water use, when you can reuse, when you have the technology to reuse the wastewater, you can also control pollution by effective irrigation techniques. Okay, so you will not be what do you call this? Dumping your wastewater back into the rivers. Instead, you will reuse that wastewater for your farms. Okay, for mining, material recovery of mining industry, wastewater, this one is particularly so during the process, what do you call this, you change gas to liquid, okay, then there's a lot of water. So they recover the materials from that water and it will be reused as feedstock for refineries, and water actually being recycled. Okay, for manufacturing.
You got a minute, yes. The timing, right. You have to try and wrap up now. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I have to wrap up. Yeah, okay. So what I want to send the message is that, there's a need to upgrade and put in place new infra. Okay. And we need new technology, but at the same time, where actually the opportunity comes is because our economy's potential output is at 4 to 5%. We need to be a high income nation, and the target actually has been postponed to another 4 years. Okay, that one is based on the assumption that we grow at 5 to 6%. But the thing is, kita punya potential output is just 4 to 5%. So if we grow above that, then something happen, and then because of the cyclical changes, then we go down again, and it's boom and bust. So the only way to go sustainably higher than that, to be high income nation faster, we need to shift the potential output. And the only way to do that, okay, given the current capital and current what we call this labor force, we need technology. So we need to embrace technology and attain water security. Okay, all the CE circular economic objectives, plus the need to climb out of the middle income status, middle income trap. So basically, we need high investment allocation, but into the right water sectors. But the thing is, the federal government's budget is constrained, and I think government will be considering more public-private partnership approaches going forward. And we can see that this is actually planned, the previous plan, 11 Malaysia plan. We know that at the end of the 11 Malaysia plan, many of the targets are not being attained. So we know that what we call this, there are a lot more work to be done to complete whatever is not being met for the 2020 for the 11 Malaysia plan. And going forward, okay, government will have to consider investing in the right technologies, and I think it will be more towards circular economy. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can email me. Okay, so this is my email address. Okay, that's it for now.
Thank you very much, Puan Maslin. Unfortunately, like you said, you have to leave, or do you want to answer?
No. Oh my God, no! I have to leave now. Sorry. I'm so sorry. But if you have a question, please send me an email. Okay, right?
Okay. Thank you very much, Puan Maslin. Mudahan
so
semua
much.
urusan dipermudahkan ya.
Amin. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Now we thank you very much, Puan Maslin, for sharing from economist viewpoint. We have a lot of technical people, scientists, engineers, usually in this kind of water industry. But coming from economists, a bit of a change. Of course, I think for me, when you talk circular economy, circularity, the taboo word is waste. Waste is the taboo word, because waste is resource. That kind of a situation we our conferences and our seminars, but in Malaysia, unfortunately, it doesn't go beyond that. Even those who attend seminar, and by the time you talk great, you understand everything, and when you are home, you just forgot about it, or you get to the habit. I'm sorry, but if we compare ourselves to others, not to highlight any other country or what, Western country, Japan, Korea, but a lot of consciousness there, individual consciousness there. Kita ada tahu, our government signed a lot of accords to do this, to do that. The population, unfortunately, tak sampai lah. The population doesn't somehow practice it daily. You still open the tap when you're brushing. You still packaging, very serious. Nowadays, I get online products. I do Shopee and Lazada, and I look at the packaging. A lot of waste, and I tell my children, please squeeze them, but it's not possible. I get tons of packaging waste now. I think we have to do something about that immediately lah. Apart from all the things that you highlighted, Puan Maslin. I don't want to be talking lah. If there's any questions, why she's still here?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
She's the presenter.
Okay, bye.
Okay, everyone. I'm not the presenter, so I shouldn't be talking about any topic which I'm just moderating. We end this session and wait for the next session. Any queries can be sent directly to her, or can be sent to water@protep.com.my or to our Malaysian Water Association, and we try to forward the questions to the presenter. Thank you very much. See you at the next session.